Welcome to Module 9, Trusts, Misuse, and Virtual Assets. At the end of this module, participants should be able to understand how trusts and similar legal arrangements are misused for AMLC FTCPF purposes, identify vulnerabilities associated with incorporated trustees, foundations, and fiduciary structures in Nigeria, recognize typologies linking trusts and virtual assets to money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing, apply risk-based controls and professional safeguards when advising on trusts and virtual asset-related matters. Apply risk-based assessments and mitigation strategies aligned with NBA-AMLC expectations. Implement client due diligence and enhanced due diligence tailored to these areas. Recognize red flags and reporting triggers under RPC 2023. This module is divided into two parts. Part A, Misuse of Trusts and Legal Arrangements. Part B, Virtual Assets and AMLC FTCPF Risks. In Nigeria, trusts and trust-like arrangements commonly arise through incorporated trustees registered under CAMA, foundations, associations and charities, fiduciary and nominee arrangements, formal trust structures, and informal trust structures embedded in family or corporate planning. Although legitimate and socially beneficial, these structures possess inherent AML/CFT vulnerabilities, as recognized in the National Inherent Risk Assessment of Legal Persons and Legal Arrangements. The Nigerian Bar Association's risk assessment of the legal sector in Nigeria indicates that the trust and company service provider activities conducted by lawyers presents a medium to high money laundering and terrorist financing risk, depending on the nature and scope of the activities involved. The assessment concludes that TCSP activities may be assessed as medium risk where services are provided within Nigeria because the transactions are conducted through regulated financial institutions. The risk level escalates to high where TCSP activities involve cross-border transactions, complex corporate or trust structures, foreign clients, or jurisdictions with weak AML-CFT frameworks. Trusts and similar arrangements are vulnerable because they separate legal ownership from beneficial ownership, permit multi-layered control structures, can obscure the identity of beneficiaries or controllers, are often exempt from the disclosure intensity applied to companies. The Nigerian National Risk Assessment classifies trusts and legal arrangements as high risk, notwithstanding their relatively low usage, due to their capacity to conceal ownership and control. Let us explore some common ways trusts are misused. In concealment of beneficial ownership, trustees or nominees are used to hide the true controller of assets. There's often a lack of clear beneficiary information. In asset shielding, illicit proceeds are parked in trust-held assets to avoid detection or forfeiture. In abuse of charitable structures, foundations or NGOs are exploited as conduits for terrorism financing or fund diversion. In layering through fiduciary accounts, funds are moved through trust accounts to create audit distance, making tracking more difficult. These typologies highlight the critical need for vigilance and risk-based assessments in trust-related matters. Legal practitioners may play various roles in trust-related matters, including drafting trust deeds, acting as trustees or company secretaries, advising foundations and associations, serving as custodians of trust funds. However, under the rules of professional conduct, lawyers must never use their professional status to disguise ownership, evade scrutiny, or facilitate illegal activities. Be alert to these key red flags. Unclear or discretionary beneficiaries without a clear rationale. Trustees who lack a genuine oversight role. Complex trust layers with no commercial or familial logic. Frequent changes in trustees or the governing council. Resistance to disclosing funding sources. When these red flags persist, lawyers must apply enhanced scrutiny, consider disengaging, or report through NBA-AMLC channels. Virtual assets are digital representations of value that can be traded, transferred, or used for payment or investment, excluding fiat currency and securities. Examples include cryptocurrencies, stablecoins, tokens used on decentralized platforms. While not illegal in Nigeria, virtual assets are globally recognized as high-risk AML-CFT instruments. Virtual assets attract criminals due to pseudonymity or anonymity, speed and cross-border reach, reduced reliance on traditional financial intermediaries, difficulty in tracing beneficial ownership. These features make them suitable for money laundering, terrorism financing, proliferation financing, and sanctions evasion. Nigeria's AMLCFT framework identifies virtual assets as an emerging risk, aligned with FATF guidance. Key points. Virtual asset service providers are subject to AMLCFT controls. Lawyers are not virtual asset service providers, but may advise or structure transactions involving virtual assets. Legal practitioners must assess risks when working with crypto-related businesses or assets. Legal practitioners may encounter virtual asset risks in company formation for crypto exchanges or fintech entities, trusts or foundations holding digital assets, estate planning involving cryptocurrencies, cross-border transactions settled in virtual assets, tokenization of assets or investment schemes. High-risk scenarios include virtual assets held in trust structures, foundations managing crypto assets, trustees lacking technical understanding of digital assets, unclear ownership and control of wallets. This combination significantly increases opacity and risk. Under the RPC and NBA-AMLC framework, lawyers must identify and verify beneficial ownership of trust and crypto-related structures, understand the purpose and funding of such arrangements, decline instructions aimed at anonymity or regulatory evasion, apply enhanced due diligence where virtual assets are involved, report suspicion through NBA-AMLC channels when thresholds are met. While lawyers are not required to perform technical blockchain analysis, they must exercise reasonable professional vigilance. That concludes Module 9. By understanding the risks and applying robust safeguards for trusts and virtual assets, you're enhancing compliance, protecting your practice, and upholding the integrity of the legal profession. Thank you.